I was in my dorm room 2 years ago, and I was thinking, you know what? I love movies, and I want to talk about movies. So guess what I did? I went out and I kidnapped my best friend, Connor, so we can talk about this movie. And then we made this channel called The Real Auteurs. Who am I, you ask? Well, you know, my name is Arslan Khan. I'm 22 years old and I'm a college student. We love to talk about movies, and so we decided to make this channel. But there's one more person here. The one, the only, the amazing Connor McKinney!
Hey guys, I've been trapped in Arslan's basement for about 3 months now, and I only have a DVD player and a shelf full of movies. So I am being held here against my will, and I need somebody to get me the fuck out of here, please.
Ignore what he just said! And this is what you can expect from our channel.
In-depth reviews, commentary, analysis on all things movies.
Yes, sir. And if you like what you see, or hear in this case, stick around, subscribe, and hey, tell your friends about us. And here is our first review. Hey guys, we're the Real Auteurs here. We're going to be reviewing Spider-Man Far From Home. This is our first video, and we just recently saw it, and we have some stuff to talk about. I'm here joined by my other half, Connor.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Connor, what'd you think of it?
Initial first impressions are good, not great. Though.
That's it, guys. That's our review. No, but I'm with Connor on that. I think it's good. It's a very good movie for an MCU movie. Nothing. It doesn't stay with me for as much as I wanted to say. That's, you know, we'll talk about that later. But in initial, we walked out liking the movie.
Yeah, it was definitely. It was definitely good. It wasn't like Thor Ragnarok or like Guardians level. So I'd almost want to say maybe slightly disappointing.
Yeah.
But
so the story of the movie is simple. It picks off, I think, right after Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Where, you know, Tony's death is like
fresh in everybody's
fresh
mind.
And especially in Peter's mind, because
Yeah.
he looked up to him and he was kind of like his, you know, father figure. He's Uncle Ben, but that's the story. And you know, the kids are gonna go on a big trip from school. I think it's for the spelling bee club they had in the homecoming. I think that's...
Yeah, is it because they won, or is it just like... No, it's a science fair trip.
Yeah,
or something like that. It's a science
yeah.
trip
And you know,
that they're going on.
It's Mary Jane, Nate, what's his name? Ned.
Yeah, Ned.
Ned, Parker, and one other...
I can't remember her name. I can never remember
That's
her
how
name.
memorable the characters are.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like... You know, it's romantic teen movie basically, but it's like they're traveling the world, or Europe basically. They go to Italy,
Yeah.
and then they have it's a science trip.
Yeah,
That's, you know,
they get to Italy, and their trip is derailed by
the elementals.
and then we get our first look at Mysterio and how he's going to play a role in the movie, and goes from there, and then they technically have to fight all the elementals, and they state that Mysterio is from a different universe,
like
or
Earth
like different
something,
838 or something like that. He's like he's from the multiverse and everything, and he's come to help Peter with his world, so he says. And then we quickly realize that everything is not as it seems.
Yeah, well, you know, the story is there, and I do like the premise of the story, where we're not in New York City anymore, we're traveling a little bit more, so it expands their Peter's universe, I guess. And, you know, that's pretty much what the story is, I guess, but without getting spoiler territory.
Yeah.
But, you know, we had some different opinion on the movie. So what did you think of the acting?
I thought everybody was pretty good in it. There was no, like, characters I'd say that hindered the movie, or I was like, okay, they're phoning it in or anything.
Even
like
the teachers, I thought I was gonna have a
yeah,
problem
the
with
teachers
but they were pretty funny in the
have
movie.
some highlights definitely in the movie. Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, is
Perhaps he gives
really
the best
good.
performance.
Yeah, he did a really good job with Mysterio, given I think our problems with the character in the movie.
That was one of the things that stood out to me the most, was Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio. It's a great actor. He's been given a very good Marvel villain, Mysterio, but I'm not too sure how they handled it in the MCU version. There's some problems with his character. His basically the revelation of his character, which they thought was going to be a twist, but it's not a twist at the end. It's
No.
You see it from a mile away.
Yeah, if you know anything about Spider-Man, you know like who he is, and he's not this type of like super villain with like, or the like, I guess in their case, I guess a superhero with like powers
Yeah.
and everything. He's just a normal guy, and it's all like smoke and mirrors,
Yeah.
which I guess which is cool in its own right. But I think coming off of Endgame, it's kind of like, oh, he doesn't really have anything.
Yeah, the bar for villain after Endgame has been set so high.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody
yeah.
can.
It's not the fault of
Yeah.
like the actual like origins of Mysterio. It's just more of coming like stuff that came before, which I think is the biggest problem with this movie, is that everybody has like Endgame and everything fresh in their mind, and coming into this, you're kind of like, oh, what's next? What's gonna happen? And it's
Yeah.
like you're almost expecting something huge and everything, and this is more definitely smaller scale.
Well,
but kind of
it was
big in like towards the end.
Yeah, but the elemental stuff I thought was just there. I
Yeah,
forgot about
it wasn't fleshed out too much. It's just like, okay, they're here. They're kind of, well, the way Jake Gyllenhaal talks about it is they're kind of just there. They've been there on Earth, and they're these ancient beings,
Yeah.
and it's all, you know, BS. It's just him and his.
Oh, we're spoiler warning?
Yeah,
Okay.
spoiler warning.
Yeah, so it turns out, you know, he says, oh, they're going to destroy the world, but it turns out they're just hallucinations. Or not projections.
Yeah, they're just projections that he's used on the drones to just.
Which I think stretch out for a little bit too long. I thought they should have just with it in the beginning.
Yeah, they should have just touched on it, and that could have been it. But definitely, they made for some really good visual effects, especially with the scenes where it's like he's messing with Peter.
Yeah.
Those are some really well done
There's
scenes.
a specific scene where, you know, Mysterio is known to like hallucinate people, kind of like Scarecrow.
Yeah.
And then he sends Peter into this freaking quote-unquote hallucination, which
building.
is like so well done.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to last for like 30 seconds, but it would last for like 2 minutes
at
30
least
seconds or something.
Yeah, a couple minutes.
Which was pretty
nice.
cool, I thought. It was a realistic way of Mysterio existing in the MCU. You know, I don't know how he exists in the comic books. I really don't.
Yeah, I think this is definitely like a true to the comic book as it's gonna get, because I don't know too much about Mysterio, but I've read that this is I've definitely read up on it after I saw the movie, because I originally thought it was like an Iron Man 3 where they changed the origins to fit what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
But this is his actual origins, which is cool. But I think
way better than Mandarin. Mandarin.
It just didn't. For that, it didn't necessarily work. But besides that, main issues I would say with the movie is pacing. Pacing is a bit of an issue. There's
a sequence
long
in the
stretch,
bus, which I thought was so unnecessary.
Yeah, where he has the glasses, and he
doesn't
doesn't know how to use them, which is cool. Like it's cool how he doesn't know how to use them and everything, but
What happens afterwards, I'm just like, oh, really? You need to do that scene? Where I was like, okay, it's a scene, I guess. It felt like a filler almost.
Yeah, it's just there's a couple stretches of the movie where it's just nothing happening too much.
Yeah.
That's just like, okay.
Which, I mean, I understand.
You got to fill the movie.
Yeah.
But it's just not as interesting as it could be.
Yeah.
But definitely.
I mean, apart from the, what's it called? I do think my main issue has always been the burdens of a universe. That's basically my issue.
Yeah,
but that's,
there's a lot of that in this movie, and I think a main issue with me is that it's just not as memorable as I think the first movie was, given the fact that maybe the Vulture is not as good of a villain as Mysterio, but I think everything as a whole in that movie works better because in this one it's more of like the question keeps getting like asked about who's going to be the next Iron Man and so forth, and it's like,
you know, I get it what they're trying to do,
yeah,
but I don't want it. I just want the next Spider-Man, honestly.
Yeah, it's more of like the same in that, in the sense that everybody thinks Peter doesn't deserve like what he has, and they don't think he deserves to be here, and it was kind of like that in all the movies leading up to this, and it's kind of like I was kind of thinking the movie was giving off a tone where it's like, okay, he finally steps up into it, and he does, but at the very end it wasn't like evident since the beginning of the movie. I think it would have worked better if he kind of manned up, I guess you could say, more towards like the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Instead of like at the very end.
I mean, he did it in the, well, that's the character arc thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it worked. I mean, he does man up in the first part of Act 3. I think that's where he mans up in the plane.
Yeah, definitely in the plane. And then to touch on that scene, actually, that was a really good scene in the plane. That was very well done with the...
It was a very emotional scene.
Yeah, about Iron Man and the happy scene. And he was basically telling Peter, you can't, like, be Tony. Tony's Tony. Nobody can be Tony. And which is good because, you know, Fury's like, well, who's going to be the next Iron Man? Like, which I understand why, but I mean, Peter doesn't want that either. I mean, he just wants to. He doesn't want to go to Germany in an airport.
Peter doesn't want it because he gives the freaking glasses to.
Yeah, he gives
Quentin.
glasses to Quentin.
Clearly, he doesn't want it, but
yeah.
I think I'd rather have a new Spider-Man than an Iron Man because I think Iron Man after Endgame is just done. I think they more mean like who is gonna have his mantle of like being the next poster child of the Avengers. I think is.
Yeah, it's more of like who's gonna be the.
Which, after the credit scene of the first end credit scene, I can kind of say, oh, he is in a way an Iron Man. Yeah,
it's the way like they kind of made reference to the first.
Because in Iron Man goes, I am Iron Man, and at the end they call it, oh, Peter is Spider-Man. One spoiler alert.
Yeah,
J. Jonah Jameson's in the movie, which I thought was a very good touch. J.K. Simmons being in.
That was definitely.
I lost it. I got spoiled for me a little bit, but then I absolutely loved how he was in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, I like this more than... I know Connor said he likes Homecoming more than Far From Home, but I think I haven't seen Homecoming in a while, but I think I like this one a little bit more than Homecoming. As for right now, because it's fresh in my mind. Even though the villain, the execution of the villain, Vulture, the revelation and the twist is much better in Homecoming than the twist of... Mysterio.
Because like you know he's the villain if you know anything about Spider-Man, and if you don't, then you kind of know what it's about anyway. So. Yeah.
But all in all, I think it's a very good movie. I mean, those are the extent of my issue, burdened by the universe issue.
Yeah.
And as the pacing, as we said, and the revelation wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But, the comedy works in the movie. It's just
it wasn't like.
John Watts
definitely.
Comedy,
it was good in the first movie, and it was good in this one. It wasn't like didn't feel forced or like completely out of place. There wasn't any characters that were like, okay, this guy's annoying or something like that. But
So I think that what's your final thoughts on the movie?
Final thoughts are gonna be
1 out of 10.
No, not 1. I'd give
not
it
enough Tobey Maguire in the movie.
There's no. Toby. No, I'd definitely give it 7.5. I'd say it's not quite great, but it's definitely not like bad or boring by any means. It's definitely an entertaining movie.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
My final thoughts. I think the movie works as an MCU movie. It doesn't necessarily work for me at least, as a Spider-Man movie, but it works as an MCU Spider-Man, and with taking into account all the issues I have, and I enjoyed it, so I think it's a very good movie. I would give this a 3.5 out of 5, which is like a 7 out of 5. I mean 7 out of 10, and I think that's my final thoughts on the movie.
Yeah, definitely go see it if you have the chance.
Oh yeah, we definitely recommend. It's no Thor 2. Thor 2 was just
Thor 2.
yeah. I'm excited to see where they're gonna go with this movie and how they're gonna improve the villain. Is always the problem in MCU movies.
Yeah.
Apart from Thanos
and a couple other
what
ones.
was Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah.
But hey guys, this was our first video. Tell us how we did. I mean, if you agree with us, like it. If you didn't agree, don't dislike it. Tell us why you didn't like it. You know, if you have different opinion, more power to you. If you agree with us, more power to us. But that's about it. That's from our. This has been Real Tours. I'm Arslan.
And I'm Connor. We'll catch you guys in the next video.
And I'm Iron Man.